In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, we're constantly bombarded with noise. We hear traffic, notifications, conversations, we hear everything except what truly matters. We're quick to speak, to reply, to rush ahead, but how many of us truly stop to listen? Listen with our whole being. Today, I want to share a story that might just change the way you hear the world. It's a story about a young boy named Warren. He discovered that in silence, he found clarity, and in listening, he found a connection to the world that was deeper than any answer he had ever sought. This story is a beautiful reminder for all of us. The next time you're in a conversation, try it. Now, let's listen to my story. In a peaceful village, nestled at the foot of the mountains, lived a bright and kind young boy named Warren. He was clever and full of energy, but he had one small habit. He loved to talk far more than he loved to listen. Every day was a whirlwind of questions, arguments, and an endless stream of his own thoughts. But whenever others spoke, his mind would drift away, already planning his next response. He was always ready to speak, but rarely ready to hear. One morning, Warren's mother sent him to the monastery on the hill with an offering of food. The old monk who resided there was known throughout the land for his serene nature and silent wisdom. When Warren arrived, he immediately launched into his usual chatter. He talked about his day at school, the games he played with his friends, his ambitious dreams for the future, and even the latest gossip making its way through the village. He spoke and spoke, filling the quiet courtyard with his voice. The monk simply smiled, his eyes kind, nodding gently with each new story, but not uttering a single word. Finally, Warren ran out of things to say. He paused, a little breathless, and looked at the monk with a puzzled expression. "Venerable sir," he asked, "why don't you say anything? Aren't you even listening to me?" The monk's smile widened just a little, and he finally spoke, his voice as soft as a rustling leaf. "I am listening, my child," he replied gently, "but I am not listening to your words. I am listening to your heart." Warren frowned, confused. Listening to his heart? What could that possibly mean? He had never heard anything like it. Sensing the boy's confusion, the monk invited Warren to walk with him. They entered a dense bamboo forest that bordered the monastery, the tall green stalks creating a natural cathedral around them. The monk led the way, and they walked in complete silence. The only sounds were the cheerful songs of birds flitting through the canopy, the whisper of the wind as it moved through the leaves, and the gentle trickle of a nearby stream flowing over smooth stones. It was a symphony of nature, uninterrupted by human speech. After what felt like a long time, the monk stopped and turned to the boy. "What did you hear, Warren?" he asked. Warren, thinking it was a simple question, quickly replied, "I heard the birds singing, the wind in the bamboo. And the sound of the water, I think." The monk smiled warmly. "Good. You have sharp ears. But tell me, did you hear anything else? Did you hear your own thoughts as they quieted down? Did you hear how your own heart feels when the world around you is finally quiet?" Warren stood silently. For the very first time in his life, he had no answer. He had been so focused on the external sounds that he had never thought to listen to what was happening inside him. Returning to the monastery, the monk gave Warren a task. It was simple yet seemed incredibly difficult. "For one whole day," the monk said, "I want you to speak as little as possible. Your task is to just listen. Listen to the world, listen to the people around you, and most importantly, listen to yourself." Warren's eyes widened in disbelief. "One whole day? Without talking at all? That sounds impossible. What will I do?" The monk's expression remained gentle and reassuring. He placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "When the mouth closes, my child, the heart begins to speak." The next morning, Warren began his day of silence. It was harder than he could have imagined. His first instinct was to greet everyone, to ask questions, to share his ideas. But he remembered the monk's words and held his tongue. As he sat quietly, a new world opened up to him. He listened. He truly listened. He heard the sound of his mother's footsteps on the wooden floor and recognized a weariness in them he had never noticed before. Later, he sat with his friends, and while they laughed and joked, he heard the faint note of loneliness in his best friend's voice, hidden behind the boisterous laughter. He visited the temple and listened to the old monk's soft chanting. Before, it was just a series of sounds. But now, in his silence, he could feel the peace carried in each word, each syllable resonating with a deep sense of calm. As the day went on, the world itself felt different. Every sound seemed more vibrant, more alive. The buzzing of a bee, the creak of a cartwheel, the laughter of children playing in the distance, each sound told a story, and the silence in between? It wasn't empty anymore. It was full of meaning, full of feeling. That evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Warren returned to the monastery. He approached the old monk and bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect. "Venerable sir," he said, his voice soft and thoughtful, "today I listened. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly peaceful." The monk looked at him with kind, knowing eyes, a gentle smile gracing his lips. "You see, Warren," he explained, "when you listen only with your ears, you hear sounds. But when you learn to listen with your heart, you begin to hear the truth." He continued, his voice a quiet guide. "Listening is not simply waiting for your turn to speak. It is the art of being fully present here, now with love and with an open heart. It's about offering someone the gift of your undivided attention." Warren smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. He finally understood. It wasn't about being quiet. It was about being present. From that day forward, Warren was transformed. He still spoke, of course, but he spoke less. And when he did speak, his words carried a newfound depth and tranquility. People in the village began to seek his company, not for his lively stories, but for the sense of calm he exuded. Being around him felt like sitting near still, clear water. He had mastered the art of mindful listening, a simple skill that brought him closer to others, and most importantly, closer to himself. As he grew older, he shared this lesson with the children of the village, teaching them that the greatest wisdom often comes not from speaking, but from listening. When you truly listen, you don't just hear words, you understand feelings, you connect with souls. Because silence isn't the absence of sound. It is the beginning of wisdom. It's where we find connection, peace, and ourselves. Thank you for listening to this story with me today. If it resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that touch the heart. Until next time, listen deeply.